Hello, everyone, and welcome to Accessible Tech Thursdays. Today, we're looking at Microsoft, and we're joined by Hector Minto. Hi, Hector.
Hey, Neil. Thanks for inviting me. Good to be back. Good to be back, spending time with you. Feels like it's been a while.
Pleasure to have you here.
So, shall I just jump straight in and
please
get going? Right, great. I'll share screen. Give me a moment. So before we get started, I just wanted to talk you through a bit of the process we take when we're presenting. One of the things that's going to come out through this presentation is all of those kind of great bits of software that you're used to across the Office suite. A lot of people are accessing them online now, and using the online versions. And there are certain advantages to doing that. And one of the features which is online only, not available in the desktop version right now, is live presenting. The opportunity to actually present and stream your presentation live. And one of the benefits when you do that, it's here, present live on that ribbon there, it gives you the option for the audience to decide whether they get captions or not. And that's actually a really interesting design decision that came out through the Microsoft team. What we're saying is, actually, you don't know as a presenter whether somebody needs captions in the call. You don't know as a presenter if somebody would prefer to have the captions presented in Hindi or Polish or a foreign language. Yeah? So the idea that actually we've got to put the user in control of their accessibility is something that can only really happen when we deliver online, and actually leverage the cloud and leverage AI. So I just wanted to say, in most of these presentations when we're giving them, remotely now, it's much easier for us just to stream it out through Present Live and ask you to sign in to get your own captions. So I just wanted to start with that as an example of the approach that we're taking at Microsoft. Let me just get rid of some of these messages. So I'm just going to pop in, we're back in the desktop client of PowerPoint now. And as I start to present, you'll see at the top of the screen here that my captions are just there. I have them on by default. There is not a single meeting I give anywhere in the world where I do not run these captions, but it was not always that way. It used to be very reliant on good audio. I had to be very careful about the vocabulary that was in the slides. We're now at a point with artificial intelligence where AI is just giving great quality captioning all the time. It also reads the notes in my slides to improve that accuracy. So some of you that are thinking there, you've got people who would benefit from having captioning. Have a think about the notes you put in your presentations. Every single word you put into the notes within PowerPoint will impact the quality of the captions that you have here. So when you put specific words according to the subject you're teaching into your notes, it will show up in the captions. That's a really important tip just to get going when you're thinking about providing captioned content. My role at Microsoft is to really drive awareness and knowledge around accessibility internally and externally. As much as I work in the education space, I'm working on our colleagues and our employees at Microsoft, and I'm also working across enterprise to make sure that businesses are ready to employ people with disabilities confidently. So also when you're thinking about our products, make sure you're thinking also they are in the workplace. So we've got to make sure that people are ready to go to work and get the tools that they need. Within our team at Microsoft, we focus on essentially these 6 buckets of disability: vision, hearing, mobility, kind of the ones that people most obviously think about when they think about accessibility. But increasingly, we're looking at learning disabilities, cognitive difference, neurodiversity, and mental health. So all of these are considered accessibility topics at Microsoft. Do keep thinking, whenever you think about Microsoft products as well, about this installed experience versus the web experience. Most teachers that I talk to, they're focused on what's installed on their device. Every time you log on to office.com, take a browse around the other apps. There's a little apps icon there, and start thinking about things like Whiteboard, Stream. Stream is honestly, it's like our best kept secret. Routinely captioned video available for any learner using artificial intelligence to provide auto captions. So there's a lot more in the product suite when you go in through Office 365 and start to explore. Don't just stick in PowerPoint and Word is really my ask of you. So I'm going to start with Teams. Teams is Yeah, it is more than just calling. It's very much a communication platform. And this on screen here, as you can see, is Sweater. Sweater is an amazing AI brain at Microsoft. And she's the person who developed both the blurred background that you're just about to see come on. This blurred background will give you that really good for lip reading experience. And she's also been the person that's really driving the auto captioning design within Teams. That's because she's profoundly deaf. She absolutely relies on lip reading. And this feature was created by her team for herself and to support other people who are deaf. And now we all just benefit from it. The other thing that's important to recognize in Teams is that the captions are personal. So you don't need to tell anybody when you're joining a Teams call if you're deaf or hard of hearing, or if you don't have English as a first language and you just need a bit of extra support. So it's as much as about the feature, it's also really important that we think about the discoverability of the feature and the sort of the social dynamic that's in play. So as you see a lot of what we're going to talk about through this session, I'd also like you to reflect on how discoverable is it, and how confident do you need to be to ask for it to be turned on or to use that feature in terms of its availability or installed, okay? So within Teams, there are a whole host of other things that really support students with disabilities and teachers with disabilities, and I'm going to say it, parents with disabilities. We have to start thinking about the communities we support, not just the engagement with a single student in front of us who needs an accessibility, who has an accessibility requirement. So thinking about blurred background, personal captions, the ability to spotlight individuals in a call. So when you're thinking about somebody who has concentration challenges, making sure that you're putting spotlight on the speaker for the whole class during the meeting to make sure that that benefits that person who needs to focus. If somebody's struggling to focus, also remembering that all meetings can be recorded and captioned, and all recorded meetings can also be searched through the transcript. Before I go to see any customer on behalf of Microsoft, what I can do is I can search for the company name across our entire video library and go straight to the parts of meetings where my colleagues are talking about that customer. Now imagine a student searching for the word benzene in their chemistry lectures recorded, being able to jump straight to the part of the lecture where somebody talks about the type of bonding in benzene. Yeah, this is productivity for all, but really great signposting and discoverability to captions and accessibility for people that are deaf or hard of hearing. The other thing you can now do, of course, is you can pin multiple contributors, which really allows us to bring sign language interpreters in as guests and for people to have real focus on specific contributors during the session. But I'm going to also quickly introduce Immersive Reader. This is a screen grab from a chat in Teams, just the instant chat that's going on in Zoom as you're chatting now. But you'll see on the screen these three dots next to the emojis for giving your reaction. Great signposting to the Immersive Reader. The Immersive Reader is a tool that is popping up everywhere across the Microsoft stack. You can find it in OneNote, it's in Teams, it's in our Edge browser, it's available in PowerPoint, and elements of it are popping up in Word and Outlook, things like read my emails. But essentially it's reading support for a whole host of different reasons. So I'm just going to jump into demo now. We will lose the captions, my captions on screen while we're demoing this, but just let me give you a quick intro to the Immersive Reader. So I'm going to pop into OneNote. OneNote is a binder. It's available, a digital binder. It's available on your phones. You can take photos on your phone and they sync up to your apps. But whatever text you're working with anywhere in OneNote, whether it's just copied text or whether it's photos, I'm just going to scroll down a few through here and get back. It can also work with handwriting. I'm just looking for a photo. Where did I put it? It's here. Yep. We have the option to view through the Immersive Reader. What this does is it uses optical character recognition on that photo to pull the text out of it and allow you to manipulate the text. Now, these settings are persistent. So the more that you optimize your reading requirements through the Immersive Reader, they will remain your standard on your device. And so there are lots of things in here like, I'm just going to flick through a few of them, changing the text size, increasing the spacing between the words. That's really helpful for people with dyslexia. The more readable fonts, so moving to Comic Sans rather than Calibri. And then all of the Erling colors that support dyslexia are also built into it. Now, remember, this is not just OneNote. We're going to see this exactly same thing in our browser experience in a moment. But you can see here, we can choose these different colors to support reading. It also allows us to highlight nouns, verbs, adjectives in the text, and we can split words into their component syllables. Overall, you can see there you've got the ability to split words up, making them easier to separate, to allow you with your speech, but also with your reading. We also have the ability to give line focus for reading, and we can give single word translation. Now, this is critically important, again, into that empathetic design that we're trying to go for at Microsoft. There are many opportunities to translate entire documents. But the problem with translating an entire document into another language is it doesn't really focus on people's transition to second language. Essentially, someone's first language should always be their fallback position. But if you're learning a new language, you want to keep working your new language and then just pick single words to give you translation. So you can see here, if I click on the word fire, I now have the word fire that I can listen to, the Slovenian word for fire, požar. I can test that and listen.
Požar. Požar.
I'm not hearing it. Maybe that's something to do with my audio settings. But we've also got the PCS symbols there to support that reading. So these are the symbols that are designed. I mean, I spent my whole career working with PCS symbols. They're now in mainstream Microsoft product. Yeah. So really to support that reading requirement of that individual. If we flick over to Edge, so this is just your browser experience, you'll see here any page anywhere on the web that has sufficient text in the makeup of that page has a reader icon. You can enter the Immersive Reader on the National Star College's Bistro page and immediately get the same learning supports that you needed within your OneNote software, within your educational software. Your reading preference, your syllables, your parts of words. If I turn on the picture dictionary in here, you'll also notice on this latest version, and you should have this soon, or you can download this beta version of Edge and start using it today. You'll see as you move your cursor around the text on the page, it gives you insight into the words that are supported by an image. Yeah, and this is everywhere. Whether you're looking at Chelsea's football results, whether you're reading a document through your browser, or whether you're doing your online shopping, what we're trying to say to people with disabilities is you should have an increased expectation of us that these features are just available. This level of support does not just belong in educational software. It must belong in every piece of technology that people are starting to access. So we've got to make sure that we're constantly taking the stuff that starts with disability and then pushing it out to the entire stack. That's really the approach that we're trying to take. Okay, so coming back to my slides, and I know this is something of a whistle-stop tour. We're going to do maybe some deeper engagements with you later on to really dig into some of these requirements. Maybe if you want to do some sessions on specific disability type to really drive into that full offer there, I'm really happy to set those sessions up with you another time. The aspects of the Immersive Reader, whether it's page coloring, the symbol support, all of these things pop up in different places across the Microsoft stack in different ways. So I just want you to maybe remember that there is a periodic table that allows you to understand that, look, if I've got a student who really benefits from the line focus, here's the list of all of the products where they would be able to find that feature. Okay, so really good for you to start thinking about. The other thing you might want to remember about the Immersive Reader and the learning tools is that they're also available in third-party software. So we're starting to see a whole host of other educational providers look at what Microsoft's doing and leverage our tool, building it into their software. And we're really supportive of that agenda. Okay, I'm going to rush straight forward. One of the other things that you might want to look at is how people do this sort of stuff on their mobiles. So what you'll be seeing here in the video is on the fly, people can take a photo of a piece of text and immediately manipulate it on their phone. You do not have to wait for it to sync be processed through the cloud for you to benefit from this. Any student who's just been given a set of instructions in a classroom can, have just the data working on their phone, take the photo, and then manipulate it and have it presented exactly the same way as a mobile experience. So one of the calls to action from this session,
Y aunque
get
su
the
papá
Office
gritaba y
Lens app,
gritaba,
stick it on your
ella
phone,
simplemente
and
no
have a play
sacaba
with
la
the Immersive
basura.
Reader literally on that menu that you're looking at the next time you're in a restaurant, or on that next worksheet that you're working on. We cannot allow students to rely on the digital form. They're going to come across written text sometimes. Yeah. So we've got to put that support everywhere in their life and give them some life skills to manipulate text for the way that they want it. Okay, rushing on. The Ease of Access Center in Microsoft Windows has been around for my entire career. Okay, and one of the things, I guess, the challenges is convincing people to go back. So it's had a complete redesign. If you press Windows key U on any Windows device, and let me just bring this down so the captions are still there. Give me a minute. Okay, the Ease of Access Center has completely changed. So we've now spent a bit of time just on the sheer design of it, just to make it easier for students and for anyone to find the features they need. So we've separated each of our things into vision, hearing, and interaction. And when you look at this list of adaptations, personalizations within the Windows environment, I want you to remember that these features are presented in the, the people who need them the most, they're at the top. So it's kind of a long way around of saying that. So look at them in terms of priority order. As you move down this list of vision adaptations or adaptations, remember that they're coming out in order of probably the most common requirements. So things like making text bigger is an obvious one. Yeah, that now is really good across the entire Microsoft portfolio, and all Windows Store apps support that magnification of text only. Things like the mouse pointer. Hopefully some of you already realized that I have a bright yellow cursor, which is great for remote teaching, as we're going through now, but also really helps people with a vision impairment. Text cursors can now have beacons, making them much easier to find. The magnifier in Windows is world-class now. Honestly, you can go to absolute, huge levels of magnification, but still have crystal clear clarity. And then the navigation for people who are magnified, I'm just going to do a quick demo of that now, is super intuitive. Windows plus to magnify, okay, gives you this box essentially, and I can go in nice increments like this. Control-Alt-Space gives you a helicopter view where you can move it around the screen, and when you let go, it will magnify back in on that section. Windows Escape. Everyone I know gets the hang of it quickly. Really easy for them to customize it in terms of the increments, but that Control-Alt-Space thing, where you actually get the lived experience of somebody using a magnifier, that's new, and people really love it. The other one to just pick out here as we move through the Ease of Access Center, color blindness. 1 in 12 Caucasian males are colorblind. So we now have great color filters built into Windows. So no matter what information you're pushing at students, they learn the life skill of being able to manipulate their color filters so that they can actually access any information and go through the options to optimize it for themselves. Okay, other things just quickly as we move through, believe it or not, Windows has full eye control built into it now. So you can now buy a very low cost camera, and even for students who have quite severe disability, or students who have severe, specifically kind of wrist or hand issues, you can start exploring eye control at a much lower price point, which is super interesting to look at. Okay. I know we're against the clock and we want to keep this snappy, and remember we can always come back, but I just want you to remember that, no software sits still nowadays. Every time we update Windows and every month that we update Office, we're adding new accessibility features. So it can be quite challenging for you to keep up. So all I would ask is that you every so often you come back and you check the Ease of Access Center. You maybe read the blogs on Windows updates and constantly look out for that accessibility information. Some of the changes are so small, but really meaningful for that particular single student that you're working with. Okay, next demo. I'm going to show you the PowerPoint Designer. This is an amazing tool that's built into standard PowerPoint. So again, we're going to lose the captions for a moment. But what I'm going to be showing you is how to create amazing, accessible content on the fly. If I just go into my slides here, you'll see I have the option to choose what's called design ideas. So just by putting standard text into a slide, we then start leveraging AI to read your slides and allow you to present great learning materials instantly. Look at the images here that are supporting these words. Those icons support students who maybe just need that extra bit of help to understand the meaning in the moment, in the lesson. The other thing to pick out here is that all of that design work is fully accessible to blind students using screen readers at the same time. Okay, so what we're trying to do is involve that lens of disability into all of these features. This feature came from disability. It was really came out from a lot of people working with people with physical disabilities in the PowerPoint team, giving up on creating good looking slides. But actually we've taken it the whole way through. So not only are we very quickly creating great professional looking slides that help people with different learning styles, right? Think about this, you know, that sequencing will be a really good, important learning design that you want to put in, or icons will be more important. So what it did is it started with physical disability influencing PowerPoint as a design team, but then actually we started bringing in the neurodiverse teams to start looking at it, start giving what they wanted out of this feature and what the blind community wanted from PowerPoint in this instance. Okay, just going to jump back into my slide, my beautiful looking new slide, and just think about some of these topics on here as well. Disability up until really, honestly, the last 4 years of my career has always been generally delivered by add-ons, plugins, or specific software that you need. We're getting to a world now where so many different people use technology on a daily basis in the world, you know, in community, in society, that we have to start putting these things in as standard and for them to be much more powerful than they've been before. So across all of Windows, you have the ability to dictate anywhere. Windows key H will kick in full dictation. You'll see if I click Windows key H, I can now speak directly into it. It's not supported in this app, means that it's not supported in PowerPoint display mode. But you'll see there, you know, at any point you can just literally kick in full dictation into the Windows experience. This is really important because again, it's starting this expectation of the user who benefits from it, that it will be there. Word prediction is another one. People don't know that if I press Windows key I, typing, just click in here, into my typing settings, that we have full hardware keyboard word prediction, show text suggestions as you type, and autocorrect built into the Windows ecosystem. So again, that should be working everywhere for you, giving people word suggestions, word correction, no matter which bit of software they're inputting text into, standard across Windows. The editor is now available everywhere as well. So people think of spell checking and grammar checking, and if you're dyslexic, you really, really rely on spell checking. You really rely on grammar checking, but now it's also available everywhere in your browser. So whether you're putting in a LinkedIn post or you're making putting something on Facebook, you can rely on the same level of editor and checking to be available anywhere within your browser experience. This is really, really important. At the moment, you do have to install that, but you'll see here, it's a setting within the Edge browser. It's just a standard extension available in Edge, okay? It blue lines me all the time for being too casual on social media, which is maybe what I don't want it for, but take a play. And then the other one I'll just bring out here, apart from the PowerPoint Designer, in terms of this inclusive design challenge that we're taking on, is Translate. Again, translation has become so much better than it's ever been before. Actually, the ability to very quickly translate a student newsletter for parents, to make sure that a Polish family get exactly the same information as anybody else, and it's routinely available and readable to them through things like OneNote or through the Edge browser. Again, really critical. So these things that used to be kind of very specific, we can now hopefully have a much wider set of stakeholders in education start to offer these services out to the community at large, not least the students who need them. Okay, how are we doing on time, Neil?
Yeah, we're doing fine. You're coming up to, I think, about 25 minutes, is it?
Oh gosh, yeah. All right, let's carry on. Any questions?
Not so far, no.
Okay.
Just that we could hear you earlier when you were doing those bits on the videos. They came through fine.
They didn't come through on me. Okay. Oh, they did. Okay, fine. Yeah, I think there's something going on with the audio on Zoom. I think that must be it. Okay, let's move on to just a quick thing about more standalone apps. So again, I would just say that focus on discoverability. Yeah, what we're really after is not just for our accessibility tools to be coming up specifically in the products you expect from Microsoft. We also want people to start looking at some wider investments we're making. One of the first things I did the minute I got my new iPhone was I put Edge on it. Okay, because I want all of my information to sync with my Windows device, but also all of that accessibility that you expect in the browser on your device is also available on your phone. So if you've got any students with dyslexia, with low vision, who need some of those kind of reading supports, really take a good look at just adding an extra browser to your phone, wherever you are. That works on both iOS and on Android. Two that sit on iOS only are Seeing AI and Soundscape. These are both specific apps for people with vision loss or who are blind. And they are, Seeing AI narrates the world for people that are blind. It reads handwriting for the first time. It reads text immediately. It recognizes colors and speaks them. It recognizes money. It does so many things that somebody who's blind or has low vision would really start to benefit from having as an extra support from their phone. Soundscape is a navigation tool for people who are blind. So it turns the navigation experience for someone who's blind from being a functional experience, take me to the post office, to being a leisure experience, where actually on the route to the post office, they get some rich audio information given to them as they're on the move. So again, going back to this concept of life skills, we want to deliver more to students than just, here's how you access your curriculum. This should be much more about how can we leverage technology to really impact your life skills. The math, and I've put in brackets S on here, the maths app is amazing and also has all of the dyslexia support in the maths tools. That is really amazing. No longer are we saying it's either maths or English or maths or literacy. You're doing maths, but you need your writing support in there. So all of that support you saw earlier in the Immersive Reader also shows up in maths. And Stream, I mentioned earlier, auto captioning. But maybe for wow factor, Microsoft Translator, the same captions that we're seeing working beautifully in PowerPoint here, is also available on the move.
I can now speak directly into my
Apple Watch,
using your phone and through Microsoft Translator, have my voice appear on screen.
You can have live captions available anywhere in society now. So again, going back to this life skills piece, I want students who are deaf or hard of hearing to be able to go into their stores and just hold their phones in front of the person they're talking to and get those live captions on the move. That's a digital life skill that we think people will really benefit from, but only if we give them great discoverability of these tools. Okay, finally, I'm just going to come back to our responsibilities as providers of information. Accessibility as a subject is not about people with disabilities adapting to us. This is about us delivering equitable experiences to everyone. So if you have never checked a document or an email for accessibility, I would actually just give you that as your takeaway from today, is to just go and just check your first document. If you send an email out to all of your colleagues or to your students or to your community, run the accessibility checker on it and see what happens. What you'll find is that images don't necessarily have labels behind them. What you'll find is that your color contrast doesn't really help people with low vision. Yeah, and you can start learning how to change your standard templates to be more accessible and check those critical documents before they go out. We're really working on the signposting for this. So what we think is, it's not just about you knowing it. What we want is everyone within your schools and your colleges to know this as well. So you can also request inclusive content. You can go into your email settings in Outlook and say, I as an individual prefer to receive inclusive content. And that means that everybody who sends you an email will then get a mail tip in the same way that you get when somebody's on holiday. Yeah. they will then get that message that you as an individual would like them to check the accessibility before they send it. And that hopefully then leads to some of this behavior change and leads us to more routinely accessible information. Artificial intelligence is playing its role here. So the one thing to also know is that every time you put an image into Office, we use artificial intelligence to put a label behind it. Okay, so we're really just routinely helping people who are blind get that information from their Office experience. The descriptions are never 100% perfect, and so you can therefore edit them as well. That's just there, standard built in on the standard ribbon within Office. So the next time you hit spell check, just come a couple of links across and hit spell check accessibility and see what happens. Take that opportunity to say, actually, I sent a fully accessible email. Particularly if you're working with students who have accessibility requirements, go through some of your standard documents, some of your standard training materials, some of your standard templates, and quickly check them for accessibility before everybody else starts using them. Okay, well, hopefully this has been useful. This is really just the start, I hope, Neil, of a series of different webinars where we can maybe dig deeper into certain topics. Let us know what you'd like us to do next, which specific topics, whether it's vision, hearing, cognition, you'd like us to drill down on. There is an opportunity for you to earn a qualification, in fact, earn 2 qualifications on accessibility. The first one is just a general one available on MS Learn called the Accessibility Fundamentals course. It teaches you about the language of disability, as well as some of those technical tips and tricks, and some of the standards of building accessible software. So if you've got any techies in your teams, they can start looking at that. But we also have specific qualifications for teachers on our Microsoft Educator community. So there's 2 courses I'm showing here, accessibility tools and special education and online learning. They're both qualifications you get within the standard Microsoft Educator community. If you need to contact me, I'm on Twitter. That's almost the best way to contact me nowadays, at @hminto. If you need to contact the Microsoft accessibility team, it's at MSFTenable. And also, just to tell you, everybody in the world gets free disability support from Microsoft. So if you're struggling to use any aspect of our tools and you are somebody with a disability, you can go to aka.ms/DAD, Disability Answer Desk, reach out and get the support you need to get you back up and running. Hopefully that's been useful.
That really has. Thank you, Hector. I think I'm going to need to watch this one back a few times to go back and see all the. Yeah, I think I was getting cocky. I think I thought I knew it all, but there's some new ones there for me. Excellent, thank you. Just a quick question from myself. The watch that you saw there with the subtitles, I haven't seen that before. Is that is that an Apple Watch, and is it available on?
So that's just Translator. That's Translator. So Microsoft has a translator app in the same way that many tech companies have a translator app. But what we've done specifically, and I noticed Apple did it on the latest update as well, right? Is they've put English to English. Yeah. So most people look at, ask yourself, does somebody who's deaf think to go to a translator app to get support? Well, no. And that's one of the biggest challenges we have, is this discoverability, as I said, right? So it's the translator app. You set it English to English, and then it hears English, it shows English. I mean, it's really as simple as that. There's no magic there. Okay. It's available on your phone, it's available through your browser, and it's also available on your watch now, which makes it super cool. I am incredibly annoying to people who I meet who are deaf in the community, in queues in shops or in Costa grabbing a coffee. I'll just kind of make sure I show everybody, because I think that's our biggest challenge, is just letting people know there are routine tools available they can go and grab, and they don't have to be disability in inverted comma tools. They're just tools, right? So just, it's a knowledge game, isn't it? We've known this for years, Neil. It's just a knowledge game.
Yeah, that's it. So we're going to bring it to a close there. That was really good, Hector. Thank you. Just to mention upcoming webinars. Next week, we're going to be focusing back to the same usual Thursday times. We're going to be looking at Google next week, followed by Apple, and then we're going to have the mobile session. I wonder actually if we might have some good contributions from Microsoft again for that one.
Sure.
And we'll also be opening up to that our usual drop-in session. So if you've got any particular student issues or anything along those lines, then you can join. For all of our past webinars and for the forthcoming links, you can visit the link there, bit.ly ATTHurs, and that's capital ATT. Okay, and yeah, if there's anything you want more information about, either get in touch with Hector, or you can visit us at edtech-demonstrator.lgfl.net. We've got our YouTube link, Twitter link, LinkedIn and Facebook along the side. And thank you, Hector. That was really interesting, and I know I'll be taking away a lot from that.
As I said at the start, it's just nice to reconnect. You know, I honestly miss so many of the. Not just through COVID, but you know, it just seems such a long time since I've been at the Star College for you know, just to pick one. So it's great to reconnect with you all.
Yeah, it's great to have you back, and yeah, thank you to everyone that attended. We'll make sure that we share these resources in the shared folder. So I'll make sure you've all got an email with that shared folder file, link to the recording, and all the upcoming webinars. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Hector.